Another question here. How useful is it to ask the unconscious to confirm if it has found images, ideas, analogies, metaphors interesting? To ask the unconscious mind to confirm whether what you've been doing, basically, as a therapist, fits, is right. Is it useful or helpful in resolving problems? Or can it assist in bringing about the requested change of perception, feeling, response? Well, yes, absolutely. We're talking about an ideomotor response here, regardless of what kind. And by ideomotor, I'm talking about like a head nod or finger signaling, or just a change in facial expression when you can see agreement or disagreement. Now, I like to kind of encourage students to really focus their visual acuity, to really tune in to the non-verbal changes that are happening in someone's body. It can be something as simple as swallowing, rapid eye movement. It may just be a change in breathing rate, slowing down. It may be taking an extra breath somewhere. Okay, but look for patterns. If you see there's a pattern forming, you'll start to realize what that non-verbal signal is actually telling you. Okay, you can actually ask for it, of course, in addition to just watching and noticing it. And I tend to use requests for head nods. The finger signaling is okay, but you need to set that up as a hypnotic phenomena. And think about it, head nods happens unconsciously anyway. We've already got it there. We don't really need to train someone to nod their head. So I prefer to use head nods, so I don't even have to ask for it, or not directly. I use that negative tag question. Can you nod? And I change the word not into nod, you can. So you know how to communicate with me, can you nod? Okay, so it's like an indirect way of suggesting the nodding. And believe me, when you say something like that, you can know how to communicate me. Your unconscious mind can communicate with me. Can you nod? And you wait, and you'll see a very slow head nod. Okay, if your client does this, that's conscious, okay? But if you see a very slow head nod, that's an unconscious response. So yeah, let's come back to that, okay? This idea of getting confirmation. I'm continually asking the client for information, but not directly. So I'll offer a suggestion in the form of a question. Like I might say to somebody, maybe you can be curious about what's happening to your right hand. I wonder what that feels like. Okay. Now, I'm not expecting them to say, oh, well, it feels very, very spooky. It's lifting up in the air all by itself at the moment. Better keep it down. This is rather odd, isn't it? No, I'm not expecting a verbal response from my client. I'm expecting to see a response in the form of like a head nod. So I'll be giving a suggestion, but putting it in the form of a question and then waiting for some feedback. I pay a lot of attention to this. And then even when I get the head nod, I'll often do something similar. Might go, that's right. Now they're not aware they're nodding their head because it's so subtle, because it's not their conscious mind that's nodding their head, it's the unconscious mind. So they're not going to be aware of it anyway, but also because they're in trance. They're going to be off playing in the fields or somewhere, wherever you've sent them off to, on the beach or somewhere, to just get engaged and absorbed and distracted into some other comfortable, relaxing place while you talk to the unconscious. So they're not even aware their head's nodding. So when I go, that's right, I'm acknowledging the unconscious mind. We've got an intimate communication now between the unconscious and me. So yes, to answer that question, it's very important. I think whoever asked this question, I think yes, Gabriella. So what she's asking, in fact, is, should we actually make a point of asking the unconscious directly, if this is okay with you, can you please nod your head? Well, that's kind of an NLP thing, and I really don't like that. I tell you why. It's simply because in an NLP context, you say to the client, if this is acceptable to you, can you nod your head? And the client nods their head. You don't know whether it's an honest unconscious response because they're not in trance, or it's just wishful thinking on the part of the client. I like to see, honest unconscious responses. So I generally don't ask a direct question like, okay, we've done this bit, now move on to the next bit, this bit, move on to the next bit. No, that's too mechanical and clinical for my liking. I like the session to be like a piece of poetry that flows, or a textile that you're weaving and the picture starts to come together, or like a jigsaw, and you're starting with the pieces around the outside and coming in, filling in the middle bits. It starts to form as a complete work of therapy.